Welcome back, dear students. Today we will deal with the third part in the first lesson, the best Christmas present in the world. In the second part, we came to know that the writer Michael Morpurgo had read the letter written by Jim McPherson to his beloved wife Connie. Third part, I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport, just a few miles away. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Breaches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shell. The roof gaping, the windows boarded up. So, here, after reading the letter, the author was deeply concerned about Connie, and he just wanted to know what happened to Connie. And in the next day itself, he just went to Bridport, that is just a few miles away from his home, and he asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. So he reached the place Bridport, and then he is asking about Copper Beaches. Then while he reached the exact place of Connie, that is the house number 12, that is in Copper Beaches, he had seen a burned out house. Even the roofs were gapped and the windows boarded up. Boarded up means covered with wooden boards. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts of a Mrs. McPherson. So in that condition, nobody will be able to live in that house number 12. So obviously he came to the nearby house and he is asking about the whereabouts. Whereabout means the place where Mrs. McPherson is living now. Oh yes, said the old man in his slippers. He knew her well. So the person who was living in the nearby house was an old man, and he was wearing his slippers. And he is just now going to explain about Mrs. McPherson. A lovely old lady, he told me, a bit muddle-headed, but at her age she was entitled to be wasn't she? So now we can see what is the nature of Mrs. McPherson. She is a very lovely old lady, but a little muddle-headed. Muddle-headed means confused. And at her age, she is having the authority like that because she is so aged and she can be like that. 101 years old. So what is her age? She is 101 years old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now, he told me, Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of town. So how the house got fired due to candles, because she always used candles instead of electricity, because she used to think that electricity is too expensive while compared to candles. And when the fire was there at her home, she was inside the home and touched it, nothing happened to her. And now she is living in a nursing home, that is the Burlington House on the Dorchester Road, that is just the opposite side of this Bridport. The Bridport is a place where now he is, and this Dorchester is just little far away from Bridport, and she is now living in a nursing home named Burlington House. I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains in the hallway, and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. So the writer was able to find out Burlington House nursing home very easily. And when he reached it, that was a time of Christmas. And the house was totally decorated for Christmas, and he can see the paper chains were there, the lighted Christmas tree, and even a lopsided angel. Lopsided means an unevenly balanced angel on the top of the Christmas tree. I said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. McPherson to bring her a Christmas present. So now Michael is just introducing himself. He told that he is a friend of Mrs. McPherson and came here to gift her a Christmas present. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. The matron had a hat on too and seemed happy enough to see me. So while he was inside the house, Burlington nursing home, he was able to see the dining room and the people were sitting over there. They were wearing a paper hat and singing. And the matron too had a hat and she was happy to see me over there. She even offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others, she told me. She is rather confused today, so we thought it best if she had a good rest. So, right now, the matron, the caretaker, the superintendent, or the warden of the nursing home told to Michael that Mrs. Macpherson is not with the others. Today, she is rather confused, and it is better to have her a good rest. And she has no family, no one visit. I'm sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. So right now he is saying that she is alone. She is not having a family. So seeing you, she will be very happy. And later, the matron took Michael into a conservatory. Conservatory means a glass house, a glass room. And in that glass room, we can see the wicker chairs and potted plants. And she was sitting there all alone. And later, matron too left the place. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. She was gazing out at the garden. "Hello," I said. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. "Happy Christmas, Connie," I went on. "I found this. I think this is yours." As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. So here the old lady is Connie, and she was sitting in a wheelchair and her hands were folded in her lap and she had white silver hair and that is pinned into wispy bun. She was gazing out, she was looking out at the garden. Then Michael just introduced, "Hello," and wished her Happy Christmas, Connie. "And I found this and I think it's yours." And while he was talking to Connie, Connie was totally focusing on his face. She was just staring at his face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. I means Michael. Michael opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was a moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. So the moment Connie had seen the black color tin box and the envelope inside the black color tin box, she was happy enough. Till that time, she was vacantly listening to Michael. But when the time when she had seen the envelope, she was happy, and there was a glow of happiness in her face. I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. So he was explaining how he got this black color tin box, what had happened. Even though he was saying something, she was not at all listening. For a while, she said nothing but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. So, for a while, she was not saying anything and she just touched the letter tenderly. Tenderly means softly with her fingertips, because it's the last letter written by her beloved Jim Macpherson. Suddenly, she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. "You told me you would come home by Christmas, dearest," she said, "and here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim dear, sit down." So now the thing is that Mrs. Macpherson thought Michael is actually her Jim, and she is now behaving as if she is behaving to Macpherson. And she is making a complaint that you told me that you will come by Christmas and now you're here and this is the best Christmas present ever in this world. Come closer and sit near me. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. "I read your letters so often, Jim, every day. I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me, and now you are there." So now, after the request by Connie, Michael sat beside her and she kissed her. She kissed his cheek. And she's saying that I used to read your letter often, almost every day, and whenever I'm reading your letter, I used to feel that you are reading it, your voice. I am able to hear your voice, and at last you are here. Now you're back, and you can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim dear? So now Connie is asking a favor to Jim. That is, could you please read the letter for me once? Every day I used to read by myself, and today I wanted to hear from your voice. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around. I know how much you love marzipan. And at last she is saying that after reading the letter, we will have a cup of coffee or tea, and we will enjoy the nice Christmas cake. And there is a specialty for this Christmas cake. I have covered the Christmas cake with a marzipan, and I know how much you love marzipan. So, the best Christmas present is being gifted to Connie, even though her husband is no more. Now she is misinterpreting that Michael is her Jim, and she is damn happy, and she is happy that her husband is back. So I hope you understood the lesson completely, and if you have any doubt in the three parts, please do comment below and clear your queries as early as possible. Thank you for listening.